Commence primary ignition.
Hey, this is Katie O'Brien, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of Ahsoka Revisited. We're very excited about tonight's episode because we'll be watching, obviously, episode 7 or part 7 as it's listed. But obviously, we have a very special guest. But before we get to our special guest, let's introduce our panel of miscreants, if it will. First off, Skip.
Back here. The head
This can't get away from me. It's
Who'd
like
have
a
thunk
bad-
it?
No matter how hard we try. And riding Chewy tonight, we have Dave and Jeff. How are you guys?
Good.
Excellent.
Ready for a great show.
Yes. So first and foremost, we like to wish our friend JJ Dashno to get better. I know he's not feeling so great today. So JJ, if you're watching, hope you're feeling better and look forward to seeing you on the show in the future. But we are very fortunate in the fact that we have not only a first-time guest here at the Virtual Cantina, but a character that all of us have had questions of since the first freaking trailer of Ahsoka. So very excited about this. Mr. Paul Darnell, otherwise known as Marrok. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to watch this and go through it and answer any questions people might have and just enjoy the experience.
It's going to be a lot
Definitely
of fun.
excited to have you.
Yeah, we're very honored, and we're looking forward to talking to you about your career and what you've done, not only just in Ahsoka, but also, you know, Mandalorian, which you just won the Emmy, which, once again, congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
But if people have a question for Paul, Dave, how would they do so? And how would we be able to read
Yell
it?
really loud.
Yeah. That works.
We're listening.
Say it loud.
This is just, but no, we are live currently right now. We're on the Facebook page. We're on the YouTube channel, and we are even on Instagram live right now. But those of you on Insta, remember it times out in like an hour. So you'll if you're watching on Insta and you get really interested, jump on over to our YouTube or our Facebook. But put it in the comments. So that all populates kind of over here on the side, and we're all watching that. And we will pass along all of your questions directly to Paul when the moment is correct, when there's a break, when there's a time, and we'll get you in. We promise.
But how would we be able to read who gave the question at any particular time and not call them out for just being a Facebook user?
Oh my goodness! If you are one of those people, Mark Von Olin, Mark Silver, if you are one of those people who
Repeat
doesn't
offenders.
sync your Facebook account with StreamYard, then yes, you show up as Facebook user, and we're going to call you out, and we're going to make fun of you. We will ask your question, but we're still going to call you out. We're still going to make fun of you. But please visit StreamYard.com/Facebook to connect your account so we know who you are, and so we can put your little picture up right there when your question is asked.
Absolutely. So let's start with the first question tonight. You have had an incredible career, starting back, and I'm seeing like all the way back in 2007 with TKO, and then your first, looks like on IMDb, which I'm going off of, your first, like, I would say blockbuster stunt double was, you were freaking Zohan. Like, what?
Yeah, wow, that's good. That was my big first blockbuster, and that one was I got opportunity to double Adam Sandler, doubling Adam Sandler, and it was right place at the right time. I just moved out to LA. I do parkour. That's my background of all the running and jumping. And for that film, he had about 7 or 8 stunt doubles, and they needed a parkour double, and they looked all over, but there weren't many stunt people or stunt performers doing parkour at the time. So this coordinator had met me through word of mouth. And then he's like, you know what? We're just going to make you work. And so they flew me to New York, and I doubled him. And I even got to go to Israel to do doubling him on some rooftops there. And that was it kind of opened me up into the bigger Hollywood big movies.
You have ruined that movie. Like Adam Sandler can't do parkour. No.
We all were fooled.
Like hacky sack and swimming and dancing. He had all the doubles to make him look like the best, the Zohan ball,
What, you mean he couldn't hacky sack either?
So much.
Just got tired of doing too much of it,
So. That's the kind of fun things that we really like to know here is like who was doing that when they were. Yes.
So, and also looking as well is your first, I would say, franchise piece was you were involved in the Twilight trilogy. Now, I have to ask you, is Lateef your favorite vampire?
Lateef is so cool to get to work with Lateef because we had started in California together, moving to LA. And so we did the first low budget film together. And that was so cool to meet because we see each other online, just watch each other's videos. And finally, he came in on the 4th movie, I believe, and he got a part in there. He got little beady red eyes and kept his dreads. He's never had to cut those dreads. I don't know how he gets away with that. But it was amazing to work with him. He's been my friend for many years, and I always like to work with friends and being on the Star Wars universe from the very first one we got brought in with Lateef on Mando season 1.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Well, here's your follow-up question. We told you in the pre-show we were going to ask. So tell us about all the characters. Is your build here, and we're talking in Ahsoka is Marrok, who's very mysterious, and we're going to ask you way more questions about way. Tell us about some of your other roles, some of the other things that you've done in the Mandoverse.
So starting with the first season of Mandalorian, I played just kind of different roles in that sense, but what's so cool about being a stunt performer on these shows is they're all masked. So as long as you can fit into the wardrobe. And so pretty much once they get your sizes and they like to work with you, they'll ask you to come back. And a lot of the silicone masks, some of the aliens that we played in there. For that season, though, I was too tall for the stormtroopers. So they had a very height restrictive requirement of 5'10". You had to be, and I'm 6'1". So I wasn't able to get into those costumes, but I did play a dark stormtrooper. So that was actually one of the hardest days of just holding a gun. Giancarlo was doing his speech, and but that was cool. That was my introduction to there, and then played some random characters in the second season. I was working on a zombie movie, so I only got to bounce back and forth between the two. And then on Boba Fett. Again, I got to play a Nightwind assassin, doing parkour and jumping through the rooftops. And so they let me have this little character, little acting role in that sense. And then also on that one, just random aliens. It's weird. I was in a big droid suit at one point. What's been really fun about working on this is that I live very close to the studio. I'm 10 minutes away. So if they ever need anything or stunt performer or character, they know me, so they can just throw me in and say if I can do it. So it's almost been some random ones that I don't even remember all of them that I've done because they'll swap me out into different ones as long as I can fit in the costume because you're masked up and you just have to react. And it's been super fun. I love all of them.
So
you talk about Manhattan Beach when you're saying the studio?
Yeah, Manhattan Beach Studios. Yeah, I live in Redondo Beach, and so it's a 10-minute drive up, and this has been so nice for me too because I can balance my work and family life a lot easier than being away, and not only being on weekends. I can come home at night.
I live on the other side of the airport.
Okay, right on in Westchester.
No, north of Westchester, more like West LA, Mar Vista, Playa Vista kind of area.
Sure. Cool. Very cool.
So
Close.
2 questions based upon what you were just saying. First and foremost, I have to ask, because you mentioned parkour. Please tell me you've seen Only the Strong.
Only the Strong?
It's a parkour movie from back in like the 90s.
No,
Okay.
I haven't.
You need to see it, because that's how I knew first learned about parkour, was the movie's about parkour.
Only the Strong?
Yes.
Okay.
It's something you have to watch now.
I'm a nerd about parkour, and I love the parkour world. And I've not heard of that.
Okay.
So how familiar with the Office episode are you?
Oh yeah. That's rough. And I got to work on the thing. His kids used to come to a gym that I taught at, Steve Crow,
Nice.
and he loved parkour. He liked it. He got his kids into it, and it was cool.
Cool.
It's how it all blends together.
So you talked about the costumes, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the legendary Shauna Trubek. What was your experience working with Shauna, and what do you think her legacy is going to be?
Oh my goodness. She was one of my favorite people to work with on that. And 2, I think one of my first fittings going to her, I got in a car accident. On the way there, I was like making a turn, and someone just T-boned me. Okay. And I had to call Shauna and be like, oh, I'm not going to make it. And I wasn't sure if she was going to, yell at me for being late or whatever. She was so calm and like, doesn't matter. You come in when you can, make sure you're safe. And if you need to reschedule, it's fine. But I was literally just 5 minutes walk. It was so close where I needed to be. But she was so friendly, concerned about my well-being, and not just about me not being there on the right time, which some people can get into that sort of mindset. So from that day on, we became friends, and she always looked out for me and would always recommend me. That's how that's cool. One of the reasons I got one of the role on Ahsoka. She recommended me to Dave Filoni, and she's always been so thoughtful of her designs, how they're going to function, how they're going to look and fit into the universe. But it really thinks about the performer inside of it too, to make sure that's going to be comfortable and be able to perform what you need to, versus just looking strictly how it is. She's very thoughtful in that, and I really enjoyed working with her.
Cool.
So with the parkour, have you ever had a really bad incident where you're shooting a scene and it gets a little carried away, you're up high or on a ledge or something small, maybe a wall, working that? Or have you just been lucky and not got injured?
I've rolled ankles doing like parkour competitions, preparing for them mainly. But I've never been in a spot where I've gotten hurt doing parkour, like going too big or something in that sense. I've never broken a bone, luckily. And I don't know. I think you do try to push yourself when you're doing parkour to see what your body's capable of, how high you can jump and land and not break anything. That was my mindset. Like, how high can I go? How far can I jump and not break anything? And luckily, you kind of go within your limits, and luckily I've never pushed it too far where I've messed up and broken anything. And specifically during like entertainment and movie industry or TV, that they want you to be safe too. So the worst thing would be do something and then hurt because you weren't prepared for that. So you want to almost be confident that you can do that. Accidents do happen all the time, but I try to minimize that. It's always minimized,
Excellent. Would kind of make a bad deal if you were, not able to play your character in Ahsoka because you got injured making a jump or doing something extraordinary.
That's a great point. A lot of performers and actors, stunt performers as well, you have to be careful what you're doing once you're on the job. Speaking of, I was out training. We're on a job, Ridiculous 6. My friend was doubling Adam Sandler, and we went out to shoot a parkour video because that's what we would do on our free time, just to play and train and create. And at the very end of the video, he tried to do a trick that he can always do. It's a little A-twist off a ledge, but when he landed, he under-rotated, snapped his leg. Done. Doubling Adam Sandler, he was out. So he had to fly back home, and then you're just done, and you don't make money. And so you just have to be very conscious of the decisions you make while you are in contract with what you've agreed to do. So it is tricky, but you also need to stay in shape but within reason,
So how did you get involved in stunts? Like, what was like the auspice behind the whole thing?
I got involved into stunts. I think I used to really like Jackie Chan movies, and that I never wanted to be like so much like an actor in that sense. I love the physicality and the behind the scenes of like the people that would kick and fall off boats or just fall down stairs. I don't know why, but I was really into that. I liked breakdancing at the time, and I loved the physicality, and so something attracted me to that. And I was researching it, and I found out you had to move to New York or LA to try to be a stuntman, because I grew up in Virginia in a small town called Gloucester, which there wasn't anything like that. So I knew I had to get out of there if I wanted even to try this. And so I made the move to LA and just met people and just trained. I just kept training and training and training, learning as much as I could and just meeting people. And eventually met the coordinator and doubled Adam Sandler for doing parkour.
Actually, one of our admins from the group is originally also from Gloucester as well. So what was that?
Massachusetts? Gloucester?
No, other Gloucester. He said Gloucester, VA.
Oh, I think it's Massachusetts.
Gloucester, Virginia.
Okay.
No, we're confusing the Gloucesters here. So
Okay, never mind. I'll be over here.
There's a popular one in Massachusetts. Yeah, MA.
Yeah, that's the one.
Where Perfect Storm.
That's where most people know their stuff, but I'm not.
Yeah, you're talking about Gloucester, Virginia, like what, hour-ish north of Norfolk, somewhere in there.
Yes, yeah, Norfolk, Newport News, Waynesburg, around there, and outside of Richmond. Yeah, nice, Dave.
Cool. Yeah, well, Skip and I are from. Well, I'm from Central, and he's from Western North Carolina. So
okay,
we're closer, and
not far off.
some sort of geographic knowledge of that area.
Right on. Yep, that's where I grew up.
So, what was your introduction to Star Wars?
You mean working or just viewing, or
where did you come into Star Wars in life?
I had some cousins that were really big into movies, and they had introduced me to Star Wars. And actually, the one that I remember, what was the Ewok movie? That's the one we'd watch.
Return of the Jedi.
My people, right there.
Unless it was the TV movies, which they did after the fact.
What was the one that was just mainly about Ewoks?
Oh, okay. So the Ewok Adventures. There's 2 of those.
Ewok Adventures, and so
friend of the network was the child star of that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So I remember watching that a bunch, and they were I think my cousin, he worked at a video rental store, and he would always bring home movies and stuff, and they would go through all of them. And I just remember I'd always go over there and try to watch them, because they would let us watch like a little bit rated above what my parents would let me watch. And so I could see all the different movies. But that was my first introduction, I think, was watching that Ewok movie. And then later on got into Star Wars. I never like dove deep into it. My parents were really into Indiana Jones, and we would do the reruns of Indiana Jones.
Very adjacent.
I was like ingrained in Jim Henson. That world of Dark Crystal and all of that world is where my family core was. But then my cousins were more into the sci-fi and Alien and Predator, and that's where I try to watch a little bit of that, but I wasn't really allowed to. So it would all have to sneak it. And then when the prequels came out, that's when I forget if I was in college or not, or high school. And that's when I started to watch more of it, Star Wars from then.
Yeah, so 99, 2002, and 2005 were the prequels.
Yep, so right in college, yeah.
Very cool, very cool. So obviously we're going to be watching episode 7 of Ahsoka tonight, or as us fans like to call Rebels Season 5.
Nice, dude.
Did you watch any of the animation in preparation?
Oh yeah, I watched all of it. So once I started working in the Star Wars war, I started just watching everything, especially that Dave had done.
Oh yeah.
So I went through and watched all the animated series, because there were so many references on set about it, especially with Shauna too in the costumes, and they just wanted to make sure it was right and things that were already done before. So I went back and watched all of Clone Wars and Rebels.
Nice.
So
Clone Wars is quite a haul, 7 episodes.
It was a haul. Yes, that was. I was putting in work, trying to cram it in too, because we're shooting. I'm still trying to cram it in so I could get the references, while we're doing it, so I could catch up. Yeah.
So what were you looking forward to seeing live action in Rebels when they announced they were doing an Ahsoka show?
Well, once we kind of figured that out and I'd gotten through the whole season of that, I wanted to know, I don't know, I was really interested in like Sabine and what her character was going to be like. Finding more that was all about Ahsoka. So then like, what is her storyline going to be in this sense now? And I didn't know if Ezra was just dead. I didn't know where he was going to go from that or what they were going to do with that. I think they even brought him on later too to try to keep everything really under wraps and trying to understand the story, because I didn't get access to the story of understanding so much of what was going on until a little bit later to read the whole script. I don't know. I enjoyed Rebels a lot. I liked the unity that they had, and I don't know. It's just cool to see if you can bring it to life in real characters. Yeah.
So when you said you liked a lot of the Sabine stuff, it sounds like almost when you were introduced to the show and you were being told what you were going to do, that it was more Sabine-centric than Ahsoka.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like she was a big character that was on it. And so again, well, this was part of it too. We got brought in right after Mando season 3. Then after that weekend, the next day we started Ahsoka, prepping for it. And I think Rosario was already training some, but then Ivana and then came in and started working on training for lightsabers. We had Ming, this fight coordinator, was there, and we started working with Ivana and Natasha, and working on that. So I knew their characters were, I thought they were going to be like, I don't know, the stars, because it was like they're the main ones, are already prepping for that. So I started training with them.
Well, you're talking about like lightsaber training and going at there. So like I assume that if you're lightsaber training or you've done this or that, maybe you've worked with swords or this and that before and other things, but how much different is it working with the spinny Inquisitor, the Marrok double-bladed go gadget helicopter? Anything like it in the world?
Oh, that one is really, really hard. And so I tried to get some advice from the guys that worked on Obi-Wan Kenobi and, or Obi-Wan, and like trying to figure out like how they dealt with it, because the biggest thing is your wrist limitation. When you have that lightsaber, you just can't do all the spinny tricks and stuff because everything's blocked. So you have to hold it on a really tight 2 grip. And the unfortunate part too for me is we didn't have my weapon for the longest time. So I'm just training with a regular bow staff or stick and doing all these moves and coming together, but trying to remember that on the day I probably won't be able to spin it in certain ways and have that limitation. So it's a very hard weapon to actually use. And when you don't get a lot of practice with it too, the limitations do arise,
So you had
all that stuff.
You had 2 really incredible saber battles with Ahsoka in this past season. I mean, my personal favorite of the 2 was the one on Corellia. I think, and you had the assassin droid with you as well. Walk us through that, because that was just absolutely incredible.
That was, definitely one of my favorite ones to do. And I think we shot that after episode 4, and so we had more time to really hone in the weapons and stuff and find out what works and figure out with the face mask, get those slits, and Shauna designed this thing where I could take off the front.
Oh, very cool. Better
vision. And we just rehearsed that so many times with Rosario, and it was a fun dance. I don't know. We had a lot of fun with that one. I don't know. It was cool. That's the one I worked with. Steph Green was on the director for that one. And so it was really cool. And Q was the DP. And it was actually like on a blue screen, just a flat set back in the back lot where we shoot. And so it was just a strip that we're just performing on, and So it wasn't much there, but it was just a really fun one to do too. But it was over 2 days. It was exhausting as well.
So during the series, you got all these non sword using individuals who come to play Star Wars characters. Who really picked it up the best? Who, we hear about Hayden Christensen during the prequels and how he was really good at doing behind the back Aniobi.
He retained that too.
Out of the Ahsoka series, who really picked it up and took off with it?
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Everybody came in and trained a lot. Let's see. Hayden came in. I wasn't involved with much of his training, but all I heard is that he got it. He knew it. He could just do it. Dave was like, oh no, he already knows this stuff. So
muscle memory, probably.
Yeah, he showed a lot of promise because when he was training with young Ahsoka, they had their battle. She was so cute. She did a great job. Yeah, I don't know. Everybody put in a lot of work. It was really cool, I guess, to see, because I guess I saw them from the beginning to end for most of them, and people just put the time in, and it was nice. Natasha, I think she had done a little bit of swords before in some of her moments, so it was kind of a little bit natural for her. But Rosario, she put in the work. She was there all the time, and she had like online. She was just training all the time, so she was very dedicated to get it done and really found her flow and her rhythm with the sabers. It's hard. Two sabers that's like,
oh yeah,
so tricky to master.
Do you think that the blades, like her hilts, are curved in many versions? Does that make it even more of a
difficult? Yeah. So whenever you're spinning your wrist, the blade can gets caught.
Oh, right.
When you actually, if it's straight out, you have more freedom to spin it and twirl it. But when it's curved, it kind of will click on your wrist. So people don't realize that, but it does make it catch a little bit easier, which you have to be aware of that and really spin it.
Make sure you hold it in a certain orientation that keeps that
definitely
likely
keep it from clicking on your wrist. Yeah.
All right, we're a few minutes out. Everybody.
So before we start the episode, which we're going to start in a few minutes, please make sure you have episode 7 of Ahsoka
queued up.
Yep. So one of the things I was reading about is that in season 2, you doubled for Timothy Oliphant.
Oh yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
So
I forget.
First question was,
Cobb Vanth.
Did you get to see JJ get killed as that bumbling Jeopardy? Were you there for that?
For that, yes, I was there for that. JJ got in, did his lines. It was awesome, and then it was just kind of him and I on the stunt side, and so then he had to get on my line, and when he gets shot, Oliphant gets shot. I step into double to take his reaction, and JJ is on the line behind me and just has to yank me down. So it looks like I get that good shot back to the dirt or to the sand. So that was JJ like acting, performing everything that day, stunt coordinating, and then being the rigger on there too, and just like yanking me back. So he's a man that does it all.
I know that scene when he was like being the loudmouth, like stupid deputy. It was like, oh my God,
trigger finger.
That was such a Western trope. That goes like, that guy's dead. That guy's dead. Like we saw as soon as he walked out.
Yeah. You're like, oh yeah, he's the guy, the overconfident little buddy. Oh, I got you, boss. Don't worry. What would you say about my boss? Yeah.
And 2, did you get to wear the Fett costume?
I did. Yeah. So that was with the mud horn, I think. I was with Latif, and we're flying around, and I got to put that on, and I was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, so this is Boba Fett or not Boba Fett? Like, what is this happening right now? I was very confused actually, because I didn't know the story. I didn't know any of the details. I just knew I was performing as this character, but I didn't really understand his character. So, but that was awesome. I got to fly around, jump off stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That was really cool experience as well too, and especially I get to fight with Latif or battle with Latif against a green screen monster.
Yeah,
that was an amazing scene.
Yeah, that was fun.
So We're about that time right now, so we're going to do a 10-second countdown on the screen, and then it says play button. So make sure everybody has their Disney Plus all queued up, and we'll get ready to rock and roll. So, Dave or Jeff, why don't you hit the button?
There we go.
So we just had one of the best comments I think we've ever gotten in the chat right now. Is Deputy Scott is the red shirt in Star Wars?
Don't hawk the trick. Anyways, don't skip over any of the recaps. Make sure you're watching every little bit of intro that they give us. All this goodness of Ahsoka here.
Yes.
One of the things I love about this second half of the season is that it felt like almost like it was 2 seasons in one, because you had the stuff in the known galaxy, and then you went over to Perelia and had like a completely different story altogether, and had a different vibe and everything like that. So that was actually really awesome.
Oh, the little noties. Yeah, those guys are cool. Those are cute.
There's some interesting characters that they introduced in a few of these episodes.
Love me some turtle people.
They're little hermit crab type folks.
Yeah.
Or like we say, it's almost like the rock trolls from Frozen.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. That is so right.
The shell life.
Did they have any practical versions of those guys?
Oh, they did. Oh, yeah, they did.
Right.
Yeah. Mike was there building them, and yeah.
Was it more all like a puppet, or was there someone in a little person in a costume?
All puppets for that one. Yeah, they kept them just with.
Yeah, they seem like they're fairly small and small stature too.
Yeah.
Probably be harder to actually get somebody to fit inside there.
So, as a Rebels fan, what was your thoughts on the fact when they cast Lars to be Thrawn?
Dude, so yeah, that was I love when they do that a lot and they bring the voices of the character, the actual person there. They can make it work. I think it's really cool. Like his presence on set was amazing. Yeah.
I think that should be the ideal option, is if they can make it work.
They can make it work.
The original actor. If they can't, then they recast. But I think like having him and I forget
Clancy Brown.
Clancy Brown's character. Revisit their roles in live action is so.
That's a whole other show, arguing who should have made the role and who didn't.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're watching this
here. You want to go ahead, Spencer, or you want me to
go? While we're in the scene right now, I just want to point out that yes, we are. We have our big event at Scum and Villainy this summer, and we just announced Nelson Lee, so Senator Ziono, who we all think is the biggest dick in Ahsoka. Very excited about meeting Nelson this summer.
And
something we can all agree
on. He doesn't get murdered by Chopper.
That would have been awesome.
So cool.
But Dave, you're about to say?
Yeah, well, Hunter had a couple of questions up here. We'll start with like, who's your favorite person to work with? Is director, actor, someone else, someone you were in combat with, stunt person, whoever?
I mean, Brendan Wayne always keeps it fun and light on set, and it's always fun to have him around. And as I mentioned before, my buddy Lateef, we've been doing stunts for a while together, so just to share the screen with him is always fun, and so I always appreciate that. The other thing on Ahsoka particularly was Rosario. She kept the mood so light and so fun. Like even if you're having a tough day, she would make it better. She didn't show it.
That's
she
cool.
worked so hard, and that was very inspiring. And just to be around someone like that makes you want to do good and be. So she was like a highlight of that whole show. Just to be around, her attitude was the highest and the most positive it could be.
Yeah. Well, and Hunter's second question here is I think I know part of the answer to this, I think, because I've seen some things maybe, but do you plan on joining the con circuit that we're all kind of looking to add like your signature to some pieces and some cool stuff there?
I've never done a con before, and I guess it just comes down to availability. And and it's a whole new world. I just don't know much about it, and trying to navigate that. But someone reached out to me, and I'm supposed to be going to one with Lateef and Brendan. I forget when that was.
June.
Please don't say May 4th.
Not
It's
me.
not.
No.
You can say that one.
Brandon's doing a con May 4th, and I'm all excited. And he's been on the show, and I'm like, we're talking about, getting together and maybe going. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And I get out of here, and I go to my wife, I'm going to D.C. May 4th. And she goes, no, you're not. And I was like, oh. And it's my stepson's graduation from college. And I was like, man, I can't miss that one.
Skip. Yeah, that's a hard one to miss. But yeah, I'm excited. This was so cool to do this right here. Is that
I was going to ask.
All the people that you work with too are super fans of the show, and everybody loves it and tries to put the best forward. So what was really cool, I think it was at the end of Mando season 3 or something, Celebration. Dave Filoni came back from that. He had the whole crew stop and watch like this highlight video of Celebration, and where they previewed, I think, maybe a trailer of Ahsoka, of what we maybe had shot a little bit of, and just the energy that I saw. I was like, this is amazing, and just it was really cool, and everybody.
So I gotta say is that both Skip and I were in the room for that in London.
Oh, really?
For the trailer, the large reveal for when we always have to give his due. We watched the episode where Tate Fletcher finally bit the big one in season 3.
I killed him. I was one of the red troopers killing him. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I did that.
So we actually had him on the show the week after that. And we knew that he said to us, I want to be on episode 7, but I'm not going to tell you why. So we're sitting in the room, we're watching that, and I'm like, jaws drop, and I'm texting him like, oh my God, he just wrote laughing my ass off. So what a warrior way out. That character.
Cool way. Yeah, that was really cool. Like, held the line, got in there, took it on, battled to the bitter end, like gave it all. That's the best way you can go out, like head on.
So when we know that your character was dispatched, a few episodes ago, but were you privy to any of that scene we just saw with the council in that chamber? With was Anthony? Anthony was in the suit, I believe.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I don't even know.
He definitely voiced it. So,
but
it would have been cool to kind of have that, insight of what was going on. Well,
it is like you're there, you'll be there on the whole season, but then there's certain things like even this shot. I know we helped train for this, and I'd probably be in the warehouse training while they're actually shooting this. If I'm not out on that, only those that would be needed for this,
So we're gonna talk about the bantha in the room right now. When we first saw Marrok, before we even knew anything about it, we're like, it's an Inquisitor. What can you tell us about that?
Well, yeah, he was there. My first things are like, okay, he's kind of an Inquisitor. Maybe he used to be, maybe he's not with them anymore. They put certain markings like that. They made very faint on his shoulders as well. And I was just told that he may have been from the Inquisitor, guild or the world, like one of them, like a stray that maybe someone had, maybe Balin might have, I was told maybe Balin had brought over, So I thought we were just part of like his, his crew.
But I think it's really cool how like Balin and Shin and Marrok are they really look like you're wearing kind of medieval English armor. Like the helmet and stuff, it's kind of a through line, all of them. Is that really kind of what the helmet felt like?
Oh, totally. I felt like a knight. I thought it was very reminiscent of a knight in that sense, for sure. Yeah, it was cool, and I liked how they made it sort of rusty, and they made him. They wanted it to not be too shiny when we first had it, and they put all the paint and everything to give it this worn, like he'd been through a lot. This character, and even the first notes I got was like, hey, pretend like you're like a mangy dog. And so get like a little hinch, get like you're not like a proper warrior. You've been through some stuff. So like you're a little manged up. You're a little worn.
So you're disparaged, and all of a sudden we find out that your soul is basically Night Sister magic. What? That was incredible.
He's being really nice. It's like what the question is we want to know is what's the deal with that green shit?
Yeah, that's a surprise until we were like going to shoot to death. They're like, okay, you're gonna have this, various like samurai in a sense of like going for a slice and getting sliced. I had no idea because on set you're just performing it with nothing. You don't know what's going to happen. They're like, okay, you're going to get cut, and then stuff is going to shoot out of you. So just pretend. Yeah. So that was I didn't know what it was going to be like at all. See, until I saw the episode. Like, oh man, that's what I was. I just witch magic that I just shrivel up into this little balloon. I was like, oh man, why can't Tate got the cool death?
And did you, when you first saw the costume, we have to ask this as well? Did you get any Snake Eyes vibes?
Oh yeah. Yes.
That whole visor thing is very, very Snake Eyes.
I did. I was trying to just look around and see like where it's coming from. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had a friend that worked on G.I. Joe. I think he doubled a section of Snake Eyes for that.
Nice.
But yeah, it definitely is. But overall, mostly it started to feel more like a night. I did have that feeling of like more of like a night, but definitely some Snake Eyes.
Paul, you mentioned that you were there when Rosario was training for that scene with Hayden being the two bladed fighting style. It seems to me, doesn't just one of them have to be kind of out and forward and the other one back in reserve? Otherwise, you're kind of knocking into each other, or am I seeing something different?
So when she's like going through her form,
yes.
In there. Yeah, that was so. Ming Q was doing all the fight choreography, and so yeah, I was there for the training, but I don't remember the specifics of what the stances or forms. But you're right; you want to be on guard whenever you have two weapons in your hand. You're right; you don't want to be caught down unless it's to lure someone closer or take.
Well, it's like every time she's making a move, I was watching it. She's got one kind of in reserve, one spinning, then pulls that one back, and then spins the other one, and never seems to be spinning both of them, except for just a little move, which is kind of half behind her. And I just didn't know if you got to watch any of that. It just seems interesting to me, having done a little martial arts in my past. I was like, she's one at a time. She's not really working both blades at the same time.
Right.
Well, I don't know other than I don't know unless it was more of a stylistic. I knew that they didn't want to have too much spinning and flare just for the sake of doing cool flare moves. They wanted to make sure that if there was some sort of spin, that would be reminiscent of a deflection that they would have that for. So that was one of the notes I know going into this was not just flary, spinny stuff, as they tried to keep to that, I know, as much as possible.
Purposely not going full prequels.
Purposely not going, yes.
They went a little overboard in episode 3, some of that spinny stuff.
So John Notman asked a question here is like, did you have to do any we're fighting over this. Did you have to do any specific training for your part as Marrok? Any new fighting style other than the crazy saber or?
Well, no, I just used my parkour background for some of the stances in that sense, but no, it was mainly bow staff. And so I haven't done a lot of bow staff. I do more of like Kali with 2 sticks and Screama. But so it just getting into the bow staff and just really working on that. And that was I'm not the best at that, so it took a lot of training to get proficient at that, and then to do it with the limitations of the hilt as well. But that was fun because then also, like I said, I played some droids too that had staffs as well. So that was really fun too with the Electros. In the very first episode, I was the main droid with the little, I don't know if he had a cape on or something, and fight with Rosario there too.
Right.
So we had a lot of fights together.
Nice.
But it was good. It just really good practice. I got really proficient at using like a bow staff because that's what we trained with. Most of the characters I played had.
And I would imagine some really specific, you have to go over these fights again and again and again, because I imagine how little can you see in that helmet?
Oh, that was one of the toughest parts. So like I said, they have this, we did most of it, where if there's any fighting, take this little cube, the cube off, where it has
a removable visor thing.
Visor that like little, that snake eyes, pop it off. So now I can see my I have blinders on a little bit, so that's still tricky. And whenever you're doing something, so for most of it, whenever there was a fight, I would be able to take that off, and whenever I could, I'd leave it on for little stances and stuff, and then CG would put that on.
Okay.
And then sometimes we'd be able to take off, like if I had the blinders and that was too much, we could take off the sides.
Oh wow.
The top part.
Okay, so you could actually do the fight scene without it, and then they CG the visor back on.
Yeah, we did. Yes, because it was such limited vision with that visor. We would always make sure that's why this was nice and removable. They made that magnetic that we just clip it out to do that. Just for safety. It was even walking is hard. You can't see your feet. Many of the costumes in Star Wars, you can't see your feet. You're like walking upstairs, run upstairs, and you got these like two little windows you can see,
like tubes for the Tuscans or something.
I do.
Raiders. I had to jump from a speeder bike to speeder bike as a Tuscan Raider. And that's what you can see. So you just have to guess and hope your feet touch there and land and just grab onto something. Like when Tim was there, it was interesting.
I do Mando cosplay and trying to see wearing, this one's actually not as bad because you get the little middle bit.
Middle helps a lot.
And but like I have some trooper helmets that I've made that are like, if I didn't put like air vents in them with like hidden mesh, I would not be able to see anything.
Yeah, that's why I have a lot of respect for Latif and what he does. And he uses that mask and he can jump, flip, fight, and does so much, like that's definitely smushed onto his face. Like his nose is always like.
How does he fit his hair in there?
Yeah, they have a technique. They pull it all up, they get it all just right, and they just squeeze it on that helmet. And
wow.
That took a little while to figure out from the first season.
Little shoehorn to get it on.
Yeah,
hammer.
That's the biggest thing, right? You want those helmets to fit snugly so that it's not.
Yeah, you don't want it to slide.
You don't want it to slide. You don't want it to slide. So they do a good job putting padding in. I'm sorry, you put padding in, and so it really fits snugly. You just have to customize each helmet to the performer's head.
Exactly.
So being not only a fan of Star Wars and involved with one in particular, droid, who do you think has more sass? K2SO from Rogue One or Hu Yang?
Well, I saw Hu Yang he's got the knowledge, man. I don't know. I might have to.
He drops that knowledge.
To go with the Hu Yang.
He was so horrible to Sabine like the entire season.
Yeah, he is kind of a.
Was he? Well, he said that you're the worst Jedi I've ever seen. Like,
a lot of passive aggressive.
He's a Zingza. That's true. That's. Oh yeah, that's true. He's not too impressed. I forgot. He's trained them all. He's done.
Yeah.
He's trained them all.
That's why we say Hu Yang is for the young.
Oh my goodness.
Which you can get on our TeePublic store, everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah, when we got that Wu-Tang Hu Yang connection, and we had to play with it.
That's so good.
Gonna have to remember to wear that one night when I'm skipping in.
There we go.
Absolutely.
Definitely got to have appropriate attire.
So we would be remiss to talk about the late great Ray Stevenson. Skip and I were mentioned at the panel in London, and getting to see his love. But what a shame he did not get his flowers, because I really think that Balin Skoll was the runaway character of the show. Like it was absolutely incredible. And what's your experience working with Ray?
Ray was very thoughtful. He was very into his character, wanted to make sure he towed the line between like kind of good and evil, and realized that he's like, no, this character, he just wants a better world. And so he really thought about all of his mannerisms, and even in the work of using his lightsaber, like this huge lightsaber is one of the bigger ones, and how he handled it. And it was really cool because he put so much attention to detail into his character and thinks about it over and over and over. And so in every scene with him, he nailed it, and he just became, Balin. And you kind of root for him. You're like, I like this guy. He's supposed to be bad. You're like, I don't know, is he bad? I don't know. He might be the good guy. And I think he portrayed that really well. He had both of that.
Kept you on the edge of your seat as to what he could end up being.
Yeah, what his motivations are. Very compelling character for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible. But the fact that at the end, he's looking for Mortis, we're all like, as a fan of Rebels, we're like, and Clone Wars, like, oh my God, he's standing on the Father's hand. Like this is incredible, and that's, I guess, to the magic of the storytelling of Dave Filoni.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. He is cool. Like trying to get little pieces of what his story is he's putting together, and he knows everything about the universe, and just the little details that he drops in there to see if people get. It's really cool.
Well, we have our own Filoni in Dave. He actually cosplays as Dave.
The other Dave.
Oh yeah. Cool. Nice.
Do you have the hat with you, Dave?
Dave.
When do I not have the hat with me?
That's
Spencer?
true.
Oh, dude, that's.
And then you drop something there.
Nice.
It's just my earbud.
So Dave, tell Paul about the double takes in GalaxyCon last year.
So I pair this with like a black jean shirt and an Ahsoka Lives t-shirt.
Awesome.
And I'll just walk the floor at cons, and it's fine because I don't do like a Dave impression or anything like that. But I just will walk by some people, and some people, real Star Wars fans in the know, when I do that, it's just like, what? And it's so stop. It's like, oh man. And then they see it, and I'm like 6'3", 6'4", throwing cowboy boots, and he's
nobody's mistaken you.
Like, wait a second. Oh yeah, is not quite. Like, yeah, I know. That's
a good one. Did it right. That's good. With the hat and the beard right there. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Got the look down.
People just like, what? Where? No.
Got it.
So you've had the opportunity to work with we like to call him the heir apparent, the Padawan, if you will, Mr. Filoni, but also the person we think is not only the savior of Star Wars, but was the guy who kicked off the MCU, saved Christmas. We're talking about Jon Favreau. What's it like to work with Jon?
Wow, it's like a master class. Every time you come to set, we have different directors doing different episodes, but Jon comes in and just kind of sets the overall tone and feel, and does so many references to different films and movies, and how to inspire all the performers, the directors, everybody to say, okay, this is the feel we want. Now here, go do it. But he breaks things down and just lets you think about things in a way that are understandable, kind of tangible, that you can take away and try to put it into the performance of the day. And so it's really cool. It's really a treat, I have to say, when he's on set. He's just such a master at what he does, and he shares his knowledge openly.
It's always so cool to see what are obvious references to other properties, movies, earlier. Yeah. It's almost like a history lesson when you're watching some of the stuff, where it's like that scene is totally pulled out of that movie. And
yes, that's awesome. You see that. Yeah. He does so many homages to like different projects and films that, he always references them. He's a fan of cinema, and is very knowledgeable of that.
So we're watching the scene where all of the guys in kind of the red Shogun armor go riding off through right now.
Yeah.
Who are those guys? Did you get to play any of those?
Yeah, I played the main one with the two horns that he gets. Wait, is it in this episode?
Yeah.
That he gets. This is the first time we saw them, right?
We saw them maybe a little bit
last
in the last
episode.
This is where Balin and Shin are sitting there on the wolf beast horse things, and that whole crew of those guys go riding through.
They haven't fought Sabine.
No,
I don't think so.
Not yet.
Right, so this is like they showed them that they're there on the planet or something, and then now.
Yeah.
So so cool. Yeah, again, I got to be in this one too. So I played the main bad guy. He has his double horns.
Yeah,
Right.
you kind of came up and waved it.
Oh yeah, because they're sitting here right now. They're shooting at Sabine and the turtle caravan.
Was actually, I think we saw him right before that, where he stopped to say something to Shin before he went off to go after.
He passed Balin and Shin.
Yeah, and you had the big double thing on your head.
Big double horns, yeah. So I did that guy. There's two other stunt guys that played him as well when I wasn't there. When I was shooting other stuff, Marrok and but yeah, we shot this. This is in the back lot on blue screen, and then those big pods are sitting in them. Amon and Tasha there doing a great job. The noties were real. They had some fake horses on dollies right there for that scene. Yeah, that was, I think, little Bruce, and he was trying to stab them, but they're on a dolly that would tilt, move this fake horse back and forth to get the motion right there.
Nice.
Yeah, they had brought some real horses in for some of this, and then a lot of it too was on one of those mechanical horses that was on a dolly that would just kind of auger down, but also would move forward and backward on a dolly to give that. They also had those noti pods on some sort of hydraulic system so it could tilt down as well.
Oh, wow.
And then they just had the big fans and just making Amon and Tasha like moving the camera around just to make it look like they were moving. But I think those are more stationary.
All right. So we got another question here from John Notman. He's like, well, since JJ wasn't able to be here tonight because he is ill and we wish him well, but Notman's asking, like, what's your favorite story working with JJ? Tell us some dirt on JJ.
Working for JJ. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I mean, just working, just this dude is hardcore, and like we just finished this other project in Santa Fe, and he has to get tackled off of like a cliff. We're like, all right, cool, let's get some pads. And he's like, no, I don't need pads. We're like, no, you need pads with like rocks and stuff. I'll be fine. And you're like, okay. And so like he does this thing where he gets tackled, chips off this hill, falls all the way down, boom, and hits, and has to get up and continue this fight. But it's like in typical JJ fashion, he just doesn't care. He doesn't want to take the time to take his costume off and put on pads. And so like it's just like you just see him just go for stuff that you're like, he has such control of his body and knows where he's at and knows how to land that he's like, no, I'll be fine. And so
amazing.
That's part of my thing working with JJ. You kind of never know what he's like. Well, you know what stunts he's going to do, but you're like, is he going to like prepare a pad for this? He just kind of goes for it and just nails it. And I think that's kind of like his legacy is he just can just nail things. He's got that talent, you know. He's a stuntman.
He's
a stuntman. That's a good one. Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. We are at about the 59-minute mark in our broadcast. So if you are watching us on Instagram Live, you're about to get kicked off, very likely. But join us over on youtube.com/the Virtual Cantina Network, or go ahead and search for Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 on the Facebook. Go find us there, and you can continue watching our live stream here.
So you've been involved with all three known shows in the, as we call, Filoniverse. Which director did you connect with most?
The one I saw the most was Rick. Rick was there a lot, and I just started saw him a lot, worked with Rick a lot, kind of got a vibe, kind of knew, saw me around playing all these different characters, and I think he gained trust and having me on there and understood what I could do. I guess, it's nice when you, like I said about this, you work with these people so much, and you know what everybody can do, so it's more comfortable. Oh yeah, he can do that, or put him there, or they'll handle this. And so just working with Rick a lot, I guess.
That makes a whole lot of sense, because it seems like your style of physicality and what you can do really works with the kind of episodes that he's directing, and that kind of all-out mayhem fighting kind of thing.
It was cool. One that kind of stood out with me too was when we were fighting, Grogu as the Red Guards and stuff too, and just the different things that they wanted us to do. There's 3 of us, and he was kind of at the helm of that, so he kind of also lets us do our thing in a sense and trust in us. So that's always nice. Oh, here we go again, fighting right here. You got Ezra, no weapon, all 4.
Yeah.
Sabine with the blasters.
Yeah, this was great to watch him doing all these force moves on these guys.
I'm trying to choreograph all of that.
So were you were fighting with them in this scene?
Yep. So
Right there, you're just playing Sabine.
Right there. There you go.
More Sabine. Yeah, I was fighting with this Sabine and that. They're off.
So I would have to say is that going back to that scene in episode 7 of Mandalorian season 3, seeing the Praetorian guards back from Last Jedi, but the Mandalorian versions that you guys were, was just pretty awesome. I mean, they were always really cool characters in themselves.
Yeah, they changed them up, the design a little bit. I was wondering too, because I was watching, I think I heard I was going to be in that scene. I was like, oh, how am I going to see out of those things? Like the previous ones, but they did a good job. Oh yeah, there's fighting with Sabine through that. All the characters die.
He's not coming back from that
all the time.
But lightsabers are fatal, yeah.
But the thing is that he got hit in the center, whereas like Sabine got on the side. He got hit like Qui-Gon got hit, and that's the lethal one. Whereas everybody else gets to live.
Okay.
Yes,
I don't know. I think
long enough that you've lost count of how many times you've died.
That's the funny thing. Like, I've been scanned as characters so many times, and for how many deaths that people don't ask me that because they always see me popping up like, "Oh, you're here. How many times have you died?" We keep track of that.
Did they kill you last time?
I'm a professional.
It is cool. Like even if I'm playing someone in the background, like it is fun because I just like to be a part of it, whether a big or small part. It doesn't matter to me. I just like performing and helping create the story. So I get excited to play any of them.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
It's great to add the characters to your resume, as it were, and just be like laundry list of Star Wars characters.
I need to keep better track of them. That's the thing. I don't even write them down. So until I see them, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That was that day, and I did that, and they put me in this suit. But the suits are nice because they add an extra level of padding for when you have to fall.
Right. That's cool.
So it is nice when you are performing the.
Well, that's what you got to do because when you start hitting the cons, like we want 8x10 glossies of you in every one of these suits.
I should go through and see, like, so people know because I play so many characters, and being on there, they have all these scans of me and all these different characters that I've played. Right here, I'm one of these guys jumping out of the.
Right. You kill it at the cons, Paul.
So
kill it at the cons.
And then, so it's just cool because it lets me appreciate everybody's also work that they've done and how hard it is for different suits, what your limitations are, and it gives me a better insight too of just knowing how the characters are. I guess.
So, what were your thoughts on Enoch as a trooper leader kind of character with this whole new design and everything, and the gold and all that stuff?
Well, I wasn't familiar with his character before this.
He's brand new.
Okay.
But I mean, that's why your thoughts in terms of him as sort of a offshoot of what our thoughts of a stormtrooper normally are.
Yeah,
All these guys.
I met the actor, and one day we were doing something after I was probably another trooper or something when I got to have a scene with him, talk to him. He was really nice, but I didn't know who his character was. I was confused because I thought he was just another stormtrooper, but I didn't see his golden mask because he was wearing all the same stuff as us. And I actually didn't know much about his character until I watched the show. So, oh man, I took that wreck right there. I was that dude, one of the dudes that just fell down. That was gnarly. I just that made my body feel that one.
Oh,
That one time on the ground.
that.
So that one I remember being pulled. Whew.
Yeah, that was quite some movement.
Yeah, she forced. But I don't know. It stands out. Yeah, he stands out.
He's definitely new and different and mysterious. So we were, everybody, the fans were like, "Who is this guy? What is this guy?
Yeah.
How does he play into the bigger scheme of things?"
Yeah, you know what? I don't really know actually in any of it in a sense. It was kind of a new to me too, and just kind of observing. I don't know much about I don't even know what his. Just a leveled up stormtrooper, or I'm not quite sure. I don't know how he got command. I'm curious, actually. Like, okay, how did he get that face? I want to know. Right. Like, when do you level up to get that face? Higher rank, like, what is that? Where did he come from? Yeah, a lot of questions.
A lot of Egyptian vibes from that helmet.
Oh, for sure. Wow, yeah, for sure.
So you doubled.
Lila's got a question right here. It's like, have you been back? Do you have a character without a helmet or a mask yet?
No, they kept me. No, I haven't. The only one was close was a Night Wind Assassin, where I had
just party
eyes,
right?
Nice scar on my face.
Oh,
that was in Boba Fett. For that one.
Cool.
I played one of the Shriek Hawks. Mando 3, one of these Shriek Hawks. But yeah, all my friends started taking their masks off. They had to stop people taking them off. Like, no, you leave yours on. I was like, all right, that's fine. I don't care. But yeah. So no, I've always been covered up. I'm this man behind the scenes.
You just don't look like a bad guy. That's it.
Yeah, it was so funny you mentioned that because John was like, "Oh, he doesn't look like a bad guy." When I played the Night Wind Assassin, like we got to scar his face up, so that's like we got to do something. Like they're like, just squint all the time. I was like, that worked, but that's all.
There you go.
So you doubled a lot of characters, such as like a Mando and Cobb Vanth. Mm-hmm. But what was it like when you got the first Marrok action figure that was yours?
You know what? It was interesting seeing the Lego version of it. I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. My kids are going to like this. There's Legos that actually play with them. To be a character like that and kind of be the only one in that sort of thing, because, I play different ones and you just hop around to help perform whatever is going to make that character the best in that story. So that's always my role. Is if I have a skill set that will elevate that character, put me in and let's do it. And then you do the acting and everything. To be this character was really cool because then I got to explore my own style of movement and go through lines that, they didn't use any of the lines except some modulated voice at the end. But it was really cool to see somebody that I had performed at and actually see them in a different than just my costume being worn. I don't know. It was just a really kind of special, cool feeling, the character that you've played,
And now you could say, like, for years, everybody's had their own action figure, but you're Marrok and you have your own Black Series. You got your own Lego figure. You got your own Funko Pop. It's like, that's you. Like, you can't say that it's anybody else, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like through my whole journey, like when I doubled Superman on Man of Steel, and that was pretty cool to see those figures. And you helped build that character, but that's Henry Cavill.
Yeah, it's another actor.
You helped build that, and so you are part of that. But it definitely is a really cool feeling of being a character. You're like, oh no, that's me. We didn't help build that together. Oh, that's you. So that is a very cool, a cool thing. It is cool, but I guess I still like all of it. I just like making characters the coolest I can. Like if I ever I want someone else to like double me if I had a skill that they could improve upon, you know, or they had a skill. Like I just like the idea of creating. That's it.
And there it is.
Has
Excellent
it set in that you're that character that, I mean, you know, unlike anything else, Lila, Paul is my new favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If this is a thermostat of anything, it is that you've got a bunch of stuff that you can sign at cons and people are going to line up because they thought your character was so cool in Ahsoka. It definitely, you played bad guy real well in this, and people are going to react well to it for a while.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he was fun for me to watch. I wish he could have had more in that sense, because I just thought he was a cool element of. I like that. I think for me, being a stunt performer and then be able to play this character, like I do think of Darth Maul, and I do think of just characters that are like. I don't know. I like being behind the scenes too. I do enjoy that, and just being a faceless person that I can do my movements, because that's something that I like. And man of a few words. I don't know. It was just fun to be a part of that and just be able to showcase what I can do and be featured. Because a lot of times you're in the background doing the same things, but just in the background. And so having a little bit of spotlight was a cool experience.
awesome.
Although I haven't partaken in it, there are a lot of pop owners around here who are probably dying to find you at a con so they can get you to, right here, Mark Truex, you know, thousands of pops, and he's ready to get his pop signed of yours. So, you know, there's definitely a group of people that would love to see you show up at a con. Me, fortunately, I have not fallen down that rabbit hole, and I brag about it all the time.
I happen to have a pop right here. Not you, but a different Stormtrooper character.
Look at that. That's awesome.
So, friend of the channel and VCN Hall of Famer, and he's known as pretty much the droid king in the Mandoverse. Chris Bartlett had a number of questions for you that he wanted to ask you. The first one was, out of all the shows you were in, what was one of your best on-set memories?
One was when I was working on Fast Five. If any show, I guess I'm.
It could be anything. It's fine.
Sure. And that was on Fast Five. I was working in the Dominican Republic, and I got the chance to double Paul Walker, to do some parkour through the favela rooftops. And so it was really fun because, you know, I think that one, Dwayne Johnson was there, and I had worked with him before on the other guys. And then just being around that crew and just beginning to do parkour. And then I got to do this really big jump with Shauna Duggins, another stunt woman. And we got to fall about 20 feet into this rooftop. But it was just the experience of just kind of freedom of like, okay, let's see what you can do on these rooftops, and go and do this really cool stunt. We were on a descender. It's a line that slows you down a little bit because I was a little bit too big to take the impact. And it was just a very cool experience, the one that I remember, and partly because when I met Paul Walker, he was so kind, and I met him in the makeup trailer, and he was so into parkour and just wanted to know more about it. It's like, oh, I wish I got into that earlier. This is so cool. This is what you do. Like, thank you so much. And it was just more grateful versus like who are you? It was very welcoming. And I don't know, that just sticks out in my head as a highlight of my career and something that I enjoyed doing.
Excellent.
Well, say that he's part of Fast Five. You know, he's part of the family, as Vin Diesel would say. So,
Oh,
it's true.
you had to do it.
Well, of course. And do you have a funniest on-set memory? And it could be from Star Wars or anything of that nature.
Oh, a funny on-set memory. Okay, yes. When we are doing on Ahsoka, and there was a whole scene, I think it's in the next episode. So in the final episode, there's a bunch of the reincarnated red-wrapped stormtroopers, and we did this whole thing for a week of like Ezra, Sabine, Ahsoka are supposed to come through, and we did this whole thing where they're fighting and blasting through us, and we're all on the stairs, and they're making their way up to the top of the stairs, maybe to see the sisters or to get to the top. But we had to be these stormtroopers, and we would do days and days running upstairs and Lateef was in one of those costumes too. And every time he couldn't see the ground, and he would just trip and fall down, and fall down the stairs, go down the stairs. And so like we had to do that so many times. And then it was so painful because running stairs and then falling down. And then at one part, I kind of got screwed by my friends. Like we're running up the stairs, and then Rosario turns around, has to do a force blast, and we're supposed to just blindly jump backwards and hope your friend's supposed to catch you. Well, when we did that, I went for my force blast to fall down, and I kept falling, and I was like, "There's no one there," and I went hit the steps. I was like, go. And I fell all the way down the steps, and nobody was there. Everybody had gone. Whoa! So it was that was a long week of doing it all and falling, but that one was super fun, and everybody had a lot of fun because we're all in like pain together. Eventually, you might know the suits pinch you, and if you're running upstairs, falling downstairs, fighting, you get a lot of bruises. But if you're doing it together, it's fun,
That was a great scene of them almost like zombified, because we've always talked about, we would love to see a zombie stormtrooper, and they were bouncing into each other, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, that was a long week, and we wish there was a little bit more just from all of our bumps and bruises that we got during that week. They had to shorten it, but that was really fun. Yeah, we did have fun just being zombies.
We need to see that in a gallery episode for Ahsoka, where they show all the cool behind the scenes stuff and
bloopers.
Yeah, that was much longer than what they had shown.
So there's been a lot of characters that you played in the entire Star Wars universe. If you could play one character, who would it be that you don't already play?
I like Cobb Vanth. I like that. Marrok was really fun. It was hard to fight in that costume. The biggest thing was the forearm gauntlets that we had was very restrictive. So like you get pinched. I think I'm still looking for a costume. Like I was definitely very jealous of Amon, and for Ezra's costume, it was all flowy, and like he could just like have this like sweet wardrobe on. I think I'm still looking for like a really a comfortable costume. So that's more my thing. I think more about the costume of playing the performer actually than like the actual
character itself.
I guess all of them, you think of like which one like doesn't hurt as much. Rosario had a one, but she had those head tails, and that can be weight. But it is, I don't know why that's where I went. Is like it's the least uncomfortable costume.
Well, you definitely had some interesting costumes, and the costumes, especially since your visual, your facials are covered in some capacity, so the costume really makes the character and builds the storyline for you in particular.
Yeah, and part of it too is you have to over exaggerate your movements in many of it, and it is very restrictive. I know I had a hard time when Mando season 3 when we are escorting Mando out. I think he's tied up and bound, and there's two we call like super troopers that were escorting him out, and we get in a fight with him there. That was a fun fight to do. I really enjoyed that one too, but that was also a limitation of like snapping your head to show like an impact against a wall or something. And some of the costumes can be harsh, so you really have to know how to like go bigger than what you think. You don't want to overdo it, but in a sense too, sometimes by overdoing it, it looks just right.
Mm-hmm. And was that fight with Brendan, JJ, Lateef? Do you remember who was in the Mando?
That was just Lateef in that one. And the other stunt guy was Daniel Stevens. And we both were in that one where he's bound up. And I had like a flamethrower. I think I tried to use it on him and stuff. And we did that one for a bit. We had another, I did this gnarly death that they had changed. I think where Grogu had like saved him, but they changed that, and like I almost like broke my back on this beam. It was really stunned, but that got cut out too.
Cool.
We unfortunately in the last year, the Mando family has been hit with unfortunate deaths. Most recently, the incomparable, legendary Carl Weathers. Do you have any stories about Carl?
The one story that I mentioned about Carl, I saw him through the seasons and being there directing and performing and acting. He was directing an episode where we were all Mandalorians, and it was a training one, and where we were doing like different battles with the young Mandos, and that was fun. He was very into that because, of course, his background, but very particular about also like making it look like we were there actually what a Mandalorian would train for, like on this sandy beach, and like having the different things we would do. Like there were like a little bit of rock climbing, a little like my American Gladiator baton. He was there, and he just made it like a fun environment to feel like you're in an actual training ground for Mandalorians. So it was just fun, and he's a physical guy, and just like he knows what he likes, and you knew he would get what he wanted when he was on set. Yeah, he'd pull it out of you.
That's awesome. And you talked about earlier being one of the stormtroopers in that big scene at the end of season 1 with Moff Gideon. And
oh yeah,
how was it with that entire garrison of the 501st that was brought in to beef up your numbers?
Oh yeah, that was super cool because they're well, you can't. I mean, we're complaining about all the stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this is easy." They knew it all, but the thing that they had, their costumes worked out. They knew all the kinks. They knew how to move in it, and so actually learning from them, because a big thing is like when you fall down, like how to get up actually, and where it pinches you. But they were pros. They didn't complain once. They looked so good and brought in their costumes and.
Used to spending time in that armor, so I'm sure
knew how to do it. I think once you understand it, then you know how to move with it and understand your limitations and what you can do, and then it becomes it's understandable in a sense. Like when I was in the tall black stormtrooper, it was just hard to find the right way to hold my gun so I could hold it for a long time, which they would know how to do and get in the right positions, versus like holding it awkwardly where you're going to eventually fail. So. I don't know. You find all these interesting things, but it's cool working with people that know what they're doing, and know how to manipulate it.
You're kind of backing up a little bit, and we can start to see like your little logo on your sweatshirt. Is that like cool crew swag?
Oh yeah,
is that
yeah.
like
This from Ahsoka. Yeah, this one was just a very simple black hoodie from Ahsoka that they handed out.
It's got the. Is that Favreau's logo?
I think that's Favreau's logo from
Gollum or whatever it's called. Not Gollum. Yeah, Gollum.
It's got the Fulcrum logo.
Yeah, it's cool. They give out little swag. I don't have too much, but a lot of departments will make different shirts and stuff. And this is just a nice hoodie for Southern California, just nice and light. I almost wear it daily. Yeah.
So
currently you have a look that is reminiscent of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Did you do any doubling for Ewan or anything in Obi-Wan Kenobi?
No, I got to work on that because they shot it on the same lot. And so I was fortunate enough to jump over there, but I played it was only for like 2 days, but I was happy to be in that, and a scene like an officer. I was an officer on that. There was a big explosion. So I just need some stunt performers for that, but it was cool. I was like, oh yes, I made another one. This is cool.
Yeah,
definitely. One day I'll take it, like it was so cool. Giant.
So if in all the characters or all the shows that you performed in Star Wars, if there was one thing that if you were able to sneak off set and put it into your own personal office, what would it have been?
A helmet. I would love a helmet. Like I love a Mando helmet. Even the Shree Hawk, like one of those helmets. I think they're so cool. Or Marrok, like his helmet, like it was just so cool to like have one. Like that helmet was so cool put together in the pieces.
Just take the faceplate.
Just the faceplate.
Put it in your pocket.
Yeah, something like that would be really cool to have, like some sort of souvenir from that. Like, you play many characters on different shows or whatever, or anything, but you rarely get any sort of memorabilia from that. Other, you get some, swag from production, but to have an actual piece or something, that's very rare. I haven't reached that level.
Marrok's actual saber hilt would be amazing, although you do have that little one you showed us earlier.
Yeah, I got my little one, from stuff. So that's one.
That's so cool.
It's super cool. So I cherish that a lot. Again, it's just getting recognized and just to take the time to get something for you.
It's a nice gesture for sure.
Very nice. Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah, she was cool.
So what was your impression when you first saw the child?
Grogu?
Yeah.
Dude, that was a secret. I remember being on set for that, and we're like, what's going on? Like, what are everybody looking at? Because it was like so hidden and stuff. And so everybody's trying to get a glimpse at it, and everybody was so protective of this little baby. Like, what is this? You saw it, and you're like, oh my goodness, this thing is so cute, and like you just wanted to touch it, and so everybody was trying to like get little sneak touches of it to feel it. It looks so real too, and when they move it, it was a really cool moment to see, just because you're like, there's something special about this. Like it was drawing people towards it, and it just felt very special for sure.
Did you think that he would become the phenomenon that he is, that basically he is Star Wars now?
No, I had no idea. I just know. I was too scared to get too close to it and touch it, because I didn't want to get fired or messing anything up. So know that it was something special and they're secretive about it. But you saw it, oh, that thing is cute. But I did not have that sense to know that it was going to be what it is.
The phenomenon.
Yeah, you just in the mix. You're like, oh, cool, he's saving. That's what he's saving. Okay, I didn't know what he was going for. All right, that seems cool. Wow, that's really cute. All right, now where are we going? Oh, that's the main thing. Oh, snap! All right.
Yeah, it took us by surprise as well. So I think that they pulled it off masterfully. I was like, oh my god, it's Baby Yoda. What the hell is this going? Where's this going?
I love, and I see him now as the evolution and the different seasons and how he's walking and all these things that they're having him do. But still, every time you do see him on set, it is so, I don't know, you just want to touch him. I don't know, it's just so cute. It's an attraction,
especially when he's in IG-12, and as the voice.
Yeah. He was walking around a lot and controlling him, and that's when he comes in. That's right. I was going to shoot for that fight I talked about. He grabs my hand, breaks my gun in that hallway scene. But
that's fun.
That's right.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a very cool world, I have to say. What they've created is really unique and fun, and all the different characters.
And plus, you could say you're in Star Wars, so that's pretty.
All the Star Wars.
Yeah,
I think that was the coolest thing, actually, doing on the first Mandalorian, when my friend had worked on it and hired me, and I was like, "Oh, we're actually working on Star Wars." I always thought Star Wars was way too big. You have to go to London. It's not good. Like, that's just not going to happen. And when they're making a show, I was like, "Whoa!" So like, this is Star Wars? Is this really Star Wars? Like, it didn't kind of. I didn't understand if that really was, because I thought it was just movies, and just very lucky to be on this show, because winning an award for working on it is just because of recognition and how much the fans enjoy it, and I enjoy it, and the creativity and thoughtfulness that John and David put into it is cool, because it makes a connection with people. And you're right, it's something I would never have thought, and I couldn't really imagine, but it's hard for me to believe that I was actually in Star Wars. That's what I was trying to say. Like, it's hard for me. I was like, wow, so I am part of Star Wars.
To accept it.
Yeah.
The Governor Notman has got another question, and I kind of want to jump on the bandwagon. Obviously, we can't ask you about what's coming up for you, but are you hoping or expecting to have work this summer? Any kind of movie stuff? You're looking forward to that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with that. I wish JJ was here to talk more on that to go forward. But yes, any time they work in Manhattan Beach Studios, I make myself available to do that. because it's so close, and I just enjoy this franchise and what they've created and all the people on it. So I will definitely be putting my name or bugging people on, blowing them up, hitting them up, say, hey, you need a tall guy out there. What do you got? Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
I said to Chris Bartlett one time, I said, it's quite convenient that you can create all these droids and then you get to play them. And I says, now I get to say this to you, Paul. It's quite convenient. You live 10 minutes down the road from the studio. You can just jump in and hey, we need somebody. Who can we get? Paul's just down the street. Grab him. Let's go.
He'll be here in 10 minutes.
I guess you never know when your next job's going to come. So you just hopefully that you get the call. And I hope that my work that I've done with them, that would allow them to still think of me, and call me. So I hope so. Like, this has been a journey. I want to keep going with that. As long as there's roles, which has been nice that so many are masked that you can continue to form and create these characters. So
that's one of the things that's been amazing. I've found over, especially our time doing these shows, is the amount of people that are continuing to be called back. Chris, Leilani and Ariel as Jawas or
Dawn.
Smaller characters, Dawn as, her connection with Legacy already, but, then coming in as like specifically Rhodians and other characters. And, just the fact that, these people work well together and they're just like, let's continue to keep that, thing going, and we know we'll get the product we want and everybody will have a good time and just basically sort of flourish together.
I love it. And I think that's what's special about this, is that we can all work together, because there's so much almost behind the scenes, in a sense of like, once you use your face, you're kind of that character. So if you die, you have to move on.
You have a lot of flexibility, right?
And with this, we can play all these different sort of characters and stuff and puppet different characters. And I think that's what's part that makes this kind of special. Mando, the helmet, the main character, and it played different characters. And so that's really special, and also to build the bonds and make it a fun environment to continue to work with each other, on these shows. So.
Very cool.
So what was it like for you the first time you worked on the volume?
That was really a trippy experience, because I think the first time it was like a half wall, but I actually really liked it.
So how many in how many versions of the volume have you actually done?
All the way from, we had like the half wall of it, I don't know, it was 3/4, and then also recently at the full, where they bring in another wall and kind of almost make it a full sort of 360.
Is it like an oval shape though? It's not like an actual circle or something based on
that, maybe a little bit. Oh, it does feel like a circle when you're in it. But definitely that
modified it more, but I've never seen it.
It was like a more of an arc for that. But the weirdest part, not the weirdest part, one of the the trippiest things with it, because it was really cool to perform, because then you saw the environment, like, oh, this is the world.
Oh yeah,
we love seeing the world and all that stuff. There was one which season where, what are those was it like those bulldog, the green
the Gamorrean guards?
Gamorrean guards.
Dog face boys.
There was in a butcher. We were working in
the Weequay?
No. They're Book of Boba Fett when they're doing
other ones.
When Return to Mando in Fett, where he first walks in, and we're thinking that we're gonna see Paulie and Rocky punching meat in the freezer. Those guys.
So the reason I mentioned that is, so I was playing one of those pig-like dudes in there too, because then Mando comes in and then he asking for bounty or something, and then we get in a fight with him.
Mm.
What they had though on the screen, on the volume, was other like characters, and it was hard to tell like if they were real or not. And so which was so weird, because you're like, is that someone, like, what's happening back there? They'd have movement and walking to do some meat, but it was so big that you'd be on one side and look over and you're like, is that someone there? And you go closer and you're like, oh, that's in the screen. And you're like, wow, this is really cool. And it just added to the environment. But that one kind of tripped me out too, just because it looked so real in a sense. I don't know.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have another question. We have a question from Mr. Notman, and he wants to know, what was your favorite memory about working on Fury?
On Fury, my favorite and worst memory was they made me die in a puddle of mud, and I had to fall down and keep my eyes open. And so they wanted, like, when I fall into the puddle of mud, keep this eye open, but I couldn't. I wasn't good at like closing this eye and going because it was like crushing the eye. So like, okay, just keep both eyes open and just splat into the mud. And I was like, okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I keep the eye open. They're like just filming on my face, dead face, and then I get up and then I have all this junk in my eye. And they're like, okay, great, got move it on. And they went on to another thing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I need like
come wash my eye out.
I think about when I think of Fury, I think about dying in the mud with both eyes open. That's my memory.
Amazing.
Well, I think that's a great place for us to start to wrap. But first and foremost, Paul, thank you so much for being on the Virtual Cantina today.
Thank you for having me.
That's amazing.
Letting me come on and crash your show. I appreciate it very much.
Great last minute guest. You were very accommodating to us. Thank you very much. And amazing stories, even though you were in this episode, but the character we were touting was not.
For sure. Yes. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome back anytime here to the Virtual Cantina if you're available.
Awesome.
Well, and we're doing a little thing next in the summertime here that you might want to come join us for some of our family vacation activities.
Cool.
We're going to be all around Southern California, and maybe you can stop by and hang out with us at a couple of our different spots. We're going to be at Scum and Villainy Cantina in Hollywood. We're going to be in Anaheim area for a Disneyland trip. So things that aren't too far from where you are, but you may be working, so we can't step on that, of course.
Hopefully you're working.
Yes,
we'll see. Hopefully,
but we'll definitely chat a little bit after we close up shop for tonight. But before we leave, Skip, you want to say anything?
This has been great. We're having to switch gears all of a sudden, and this has actually been a spectacular show. I really enjoyed your stories, and you've been in so many places. It's like we got a glimpse of everything tonight. It was great. Thanks for being with us, Paul.
My pleasure.
Jeff.
Yeah, again, thanks for stepping up so quickly, and you were ready to go, and then we were ready to go in turn, and it like Skip said, amazing stories, amazing to hear all the things that you've been part of, and especially the Star Wars universe, but other parts you've played as well, and experiences you've had on set with some other amazing talent, which is just fun to hear, and always a pleasure. So you're welcome back here anytime.
Thank you very much,
Dave.
What Jeff and Skip said, and I mean, just so great finding out so many different places and so many things that you've done that we didn't know about. We got to get you on the con circuit. You got to get out there. I
was loving Hunter's reactions every time you would reveal that you were such and such character in
Hunter's
one episode.
I need you on that poster.
He's like, what?
I was shooting at Tate,
It's fun to watch when you watch. There's some people, and then you can watch the scenes. Oh yeah, I was that guy. Oh, and then I jumped over here. Oh yeah, that's when we jumped into this. Yeah. Play all these different ones.
Well, one thing that we appreciate most of all is that a lot of us, I don't want to say aged or middle aged because we're not, but
ancient.
When we were growing up, we thought that Star Wars was this big, unattainable thing that we could never touch, the holy trinity of Harrison, Carrie, and Mark. And now through the magic of not only the con circuit, but obviously through social media and through shows like ours, we get to actually interact with people involved in Star Wars, which actually makes us feel like we're actually part of the legacy. So we'd like to thank you for taking the time to be with us and make us feel that we are that much closer to being part of what we love, and that is obviously Star Wars.
it's amazing to be a part of this whole like a universe. Like I said, again, working on the shows like a family, but now finding out further about how many people it actually touches and interacts with, and how much people enjoy it. Because that's the biggest thing. You just want, if people enjoy it, then you want to be a part of that as well and share that joy together. So this was a really cool experience for me. Like I've never done this before, so I want to thank you guys for allowing me to come on and just talk about my stories. And I'm happy to hear that you enjoy them as well.
Very cool.
Right.
We look forward to hearing what future, episodes you may turn up in, and maybe we can have you join us again and do another proper episode with focusing on an individual character like Marrok, who I unfortunately don't think will return. But
nobody is ever really gone.
That's true. Somehow Marrok returned.
Yes,
right. Cool.
That's a new shirt, Dave.
There we go.
On it.
Yes. But anyway, we'll definitely chat a little bit more after the show. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for tonight. Join us next week where we're going to be watching the finale of Ahsoka as we get ready. Because don't forget, as well as next week, Bad Batch Season 3 on Disney Plus.
Drops on Wednesday.
Will Tech return? We don't know, but we will have a watch-along starting with us in 2 weeks. So from Dave, from Jeff, from Skip, who we'll probably see again very shortly, and from Paul, this is Spencer saying, this is the way.
May the Force be with you.